As you are aware, Samskruti Talks is not just a talk series in the ordinary sense, where we just listen to the talks and then forget about it. The talk per se may be very good, but then here we have not a hidden but an open agenda which we mean to follow after the talks. And what happens after the talks is really what concerns us and is of more importance to us. Here, the program is not a one-way street, it is participatory, and therefore we have allocated a lot of time for interaction, view sharing, and comments by the distinguished members of the audience on the theme and on the topic being discussed. So that way it is really participatory and not just a one-way street. Secondly, all the talks that are conducted have a bearing on the interaction between culture and public policy. Though the public policy element of that is not very clear situations to see whether they can generate any points which can form the basis of research and refinement of our public policy in the light of our culture. So there are various ways. You may communicate it to us through email, just give a write-up, write a blog, in numerous ways. Please do that. In spite of all of this, if there is some difficulty faced in just knowing the way of doing it, we are also thinking of forming a committee of the people associated with Samskruti Foundation who work in the area of public policy to sort of conduct a session on how one can do that effectively. In fact, we had planned for that for this very session, but because of some problem, we could not do it. Hopefully, from the next session onwards, we will have some interaction with the public policy personnel so that we can, so the way of doing this work of linking public policy to culture, that may become more clear. Hitherto, all the talks that we have conducted have a strong culture element, but the public policy part of it was not very evident, hitherto. So we want to make that element also stronger, and therefore that program will help us doing that. One thing that might have made this difficult is the fact that for about 1 millennia, the state, the rule of the state, the law, that was divorced from the culture because we are ruled by foreigners and alien people, and therefore they may not have had respect for our own ways, and therefore the culture and the private lives of people or the social lives of small communities and the state too, there might have been some discord between the two, and that has also caused some deviation from the public policy as it exists today and our way of life, which is based on our culture. So all these problems need to be sorted out, these aberrations need to be removed, and to become a nation which can take pride in its own culture, the culture must itself get expressed to its public policy.
I would now like to introduce the speaker of today's talk, Major General Dr. M.N.Gopinathan Nair. He is a diploma in child health and FIAP Fellow of Indian Association of Paediatricians. He was born. He was born in Asamanur village of Ernakulam district in Kerala. He is an alumnus of Armed Forces Medical College, Pune. He carries experience of over 5 decades in specialty medicine, academics and administration. Headed the departments in Armed Forces Medical College, Army Hospital Research and Referral, New Delhi, and Pondicherry Institute of Medical Sciences. He commanded multi-speciality tertiary care teaching hospitals of the Armed Forces at Secunderabad and Kolkata. He retired as Major General Medical from Headquarters Eastern Command in 2009. He was a member of National Executive Council of Indian Academy of Paediatrics and was awarded the prestigious fellowship by the Indian Academy of Paediatrics for exemplary contribution to pediatrics in 2004. From 2013 to 22, he worked for Rajagiri Hospital in the capacity of medical director. As medical director as Sri Valsam Institute of Medical Sciences in Edappal, Kerala till February 2024. He has many more achievements and distinctions, but I think this is a good, quite a good introduction for Major General Sir, and I now request Major General Dr. Gopinathan Nair to kindly come to the dais and deliver his lecture. Meanwhile, there is a slight hitch in the projection system that we are facing, so the speech has been forwarded to all our guests through their WhatsApp.
Jai Shri Ram. First of all, let me thank the Almighty and the office bearers of Samskruthi Foundation for giving me an opportunity to be part of you and to come and speak to you about a very favorite subject of mine. I'm a pediatrician practicing modern medicine, equally interested in Ayurveda. How I developed an interest in Ayurveda is because of my personal experience. My wife had recurrent angio-neurotic edema. They developed swelling of the respiratory passages, developed severe respiratory distress. Twice she had to be admitted to critical care unit of Kaumar Bhritya, where I was supposed to. Tried everything. I used to carry injection, adrenaline syringe with me because I didn't know what time she is going to have this problem. Then in Calcutta, people told me Calcutta is the best place for homeopathy. Where you can try that. I contacted a very senior homeopath in Calcutta. He promised that he will give up injection. We tried the treatment for 6 months, nothing happened. My uncle, father's younger brother, I want to visit Kerala. So I spoke to him. He says, I cannot promise you anything, but let me try. I will treat her for 6 months. He has to follow all the instructions very carefully to the end. We started. The medicine which was given by Satan, many of you must have been Guru is supposed to be the introduced medicine in Ayurveda. Even a person watching somebody taking that medicine will make you over. It was so bitter. 6 months treatment, my wife remains asymptomatic even today. We started in 1985. So I developed great faith in Ayurveda, especially for chronic problems where there is no treatment in the modern medicine. Okay, now I'm sorry the technical glitch. So we should start with a prayer to number of chromosomes. It's in a table, it's in a table. Number of chromosomes is mentioned in Mahabharata. While modern reference is 1898. Beginning of fetal life, the development of heart. Eritrea Upanishad is mentioned in, while modern medicine mentions in 19th and 20th century. Developing embryo in vitro, Mahabharata, 20th century. We said 100 Catholic courts. Test tube babies, Mahabharata. We started it, developed in 20th century. See, very fact that there is mention about this in our scriptures means they knew about it, they thought about it. I will come to evidence supported medicine later.
Division. Robert Hooke described it in 1665, where there is mention in Mahabharata. Microorganism, Human Hope, 1675. Mahabharata and Vartamana Mahavira talks about this. Phototherapy, Rigveda and Atharvaveda. The Scandinavian nurse discovered phototherapy in 1950s. Not discovered, she came out with phototherapy. While treatment of Kamala is jaundice in Ayurveda is exposure to sunlight in the morning, standing in waist deep of water. Probably the scientific expression that upper part of the body, insoluble bilirubin is converted to bilirubin. The patient is standing in water, so it stimulates the bladder, passes lots of urine, it is excreted. This is in Ayurveda. Cancer, if you read the classification of cancer, malignancy in Sushruta Samhita, 90% of the classification given in Bailey and Love textbook of surgery is the same. Solid tumors, cystic tumors, metastatic tumors, there are so many, it's the same. That means our ancestors knew about this malignancy also. Now a little bit about Ayurveda. This is the oldest medical science in the world, but I will say it is not the oldest. Oldest medical science is Siddha. Siddha dates back about 5,000 years before Ayurveda. Siddha treatment is based only on medicated oils, nothing else. See, it means Ayu is life, Veda is knowledge. Ayurveda means knowledge about life. It's a combination of religion, art, literature, philosophy and science. That means it's the most holistic system of medicine you can ever think of. Anything and everything can be used as medicine, Charaka said. Now, pediatric Ayurveda, the basic principle of Kaumar Bhritya, that means care of the children, it is basically to lay the foundation for good life. Now, these are the few books available, not in full, Atharvaveda, Sushruta Samhita, because all the day the teaching was Gurukula style. The Guru used to sit on a dais, a platform. The disciples used to sit all around, and it was by word of mouth. There was no textbooks. What we have is some of the disciples, they noted down few things, and later on, Vagbhada made a compendium. That is what is available today. Kashyapa Samhita, the first treatise of pediatrics, is available almost in full shape, not even complete. We'll come to that later. Now, little bit of introduction about the basics of Ayurveda. I'm sure most of you know about it. Pardon me for going through it again and again. There are 5 elements of Panchabhutas: air, fire, water, ether, earth. We call it Vayu, Agni, Jal, Akash and Prithvi. Life and every being is made of that, every structure. Everything in the universe is made of 5 elements in varying proportions. Now there are 3 doshas, Tridoshas. They are derived from the 5 elements. They are biological energies. We call them Vata, Pitta and Kapha. They are also known as mind-body types. They express unique blends of physical, emotional, mental characteristics. Absolute health, physical and mental, is where all these 3 doshas are in an excellent equilibrium. Any disturbance in the equilibrium will give rise to disease, as per Ayurveda. And this balance is dynamic. It keeps on changing every day. Now, Vata, at least in down south, Kerala and Tamil Nadu, Vata, they mean it is something to do with rheumatism, joint and muscle. But Vata is the controlling authority. Vata in modern medicine equivalent to your central nervous system. So any disequilibrium in central nervous system, see they say if the light doesn't, if the bulb doesn't function, you can change the bulb. But if the main switch doesn't work. So Vata is the main switch or the source of power which controls everything. Pitta is metabolism and nutrition. It is primarily characterized by body heat. So Vata is the central controlling thing, Pitta is nutrition and Kapha is the building material. It's the physical form and structure, weight, growth, lubrication for joints, formation of all the 7 tissues, fluids, blood, fat, muscles, bone, marrow and reproductive tissue. This is Kapha. So you have a central controlling mechanism, that is Vata. You have nutrition and metabolism, that is Pitta. In down south, Pitta means jaundice. That's not correct. And Kapha is building. Now, the treatment modalities like Chikitsa. Now, you will be surprised when you go through the classification. You will find the same thing in modern medicine also. Now, Shalakya is surgery. First, we will mention surgery. Shalakya, this is from Sushruta Samhita. Shalakya means Urthvanga, that means head, neck and ENT. So, Sushruta has classified surgery as head, neck and ENT. Then Shalya Chikitsa is surgery. Again, Aharya is extracting solid bodies, Vedya is excision, Ishya is probing, Lekhya is scarification, Vedya is puncturing, Visravi is extracting fluid, and Sivya is suturing. So all these are present in the modern medicine also. They are following the same thing. This was there in Susmita's time. We come to medicine. Kaya Chikitsa is internal medicine. In modern medicine, it is internal medicine. We call it Kaya Chikitsa. Graha Chikitsa is psychiatry. So we have internal medicine and psychiatry. This is mentioned by Charaka, Sushruta and Vagbhada in Ashtanga. Vishya Chikitsa is toxicology. You will find it in our Sanhitas. Jara Chikitsa or Rasayan Tantra is geriatrics. Vajigara Chikitsa, eugenics and aphrodisiacs. And Bala Chikitsa or Kaumar Bhritya is pediatric. So our ancient system of medicine has classified the type of treatment in the same way which is being followed in modern medicine. You will find head and neck, you will find psychiatry, you will find geriatrics, you will find nutrition, you will find pediatrics, everything you will find. So they are the same. This is Command Hospital, Calcutta, where I had worked as a pediatrician, where I had the opportunity to come in one of the biggest hospitals of Indian Army. Now we come to pediatrics proper. I am a pediatrician, so I took more interest in pediatrics. And when I learned about pediatrics in ancient India, I was really literally shocked to see the similarities. Some things it looks exactly cut and paste from Kashyapa Samhita in modern pediatrics. You will see it later on. Now, pediatrics in modern medicine. Hippocrates in 460 to 370 BC, he mentioned something about treatment of children. Then it comes to, and the first modern textbook in pediatrics is written by Thomas Fair in 1545 AD. That's only about 5 centuries back. Now look at ancient India. Atharva Veda, 1200 to 1000 BC, mentions about treatment by herbs in pediatrics in children. Sushruta mentioned, he has got a chapter on Kaumar Bhritya, Sushruta Samhita. He mentioned about cesarean section. He mentions about infant feeding. He mentions about exanthematous fevers in children, liver diseases in children. This is 6th century BC, that is almost 2000 years before it came in modern medicine. Sage Kashyapa, first exclusive treatise in pediatrics, Kashyapa Samhita, he covers everything in children. Charaka, 4th century, care and management of newborn. It's very interesting, isn't it? Vagbhada, he has made a compendium. He has written it in Kaumar Bhritya Paediatrics, Prasudi Tantra, maternal care, Ahar Vihar Vichar, Navajada Shishu Paricharya, neonatal care, cleaning, dressing, bathing, cardiac compression, care of cord, breastfeeding, wet nurse, daily care of eyes and skin. Can you think about anything more? I'll ask the modern day pediatrician, can you think about anything more in modern medicine than this? There is nothing. Weaning, they call it Annaprashana. I will talk a little more about weaning little later. Why there is a scientific basis behind all these practices. Then symptomatology in childhood disease, we will come to that also. Siddha system of medicine says pediatrics starts from the day of conception. Same followed in modern medicine. Now, our knowledge about contribution to Ayurveda to perinatal care, newborn care and pediatric care is unfortunately very poor. Many people, they don't know it. Even, unfortunately, even practicing pediatricians, they are not aware of this. Very sad. Now, Kaumar means child. Bhritya can be a parent, a caretaker of guide. Kaumar Bhritya means child rearing, treating disease from time of conception to maturity. It also takes care of infertility, fetal development of the fetus inside the uterus, maternal illness during pregnancy, and management of labor. So Kaumar Bhritya is all inclusive. It starts when we delve further. It starts even before the conception, Kaumar Bhritya, because you have to prepare the mother for this, for the pregnancy. That's also part of Kaumar Bhritya. Now, classification for children, very, very interesting. You just go through the slide, it is same. Ancient pediatrics, Kaumar Bhritya classification. Garbhavastha is conception to birth. In modern medicine, we call it antenatal period. Balyavastha is syrup, birth to 1 year. In modern medicine, we call it infancy. See, the period is the same. Only thing is the names are different. Kaumar Avastha, that means pediatric age is 1 to 16 years. In modern medicine also, pediatric age is 1 to 16 years. I don't know whether modern medicine has copied it from ancient India. Most probably they have. Shirant, 2 to 4 years. It is equivalent to preschool period. Preschool age. When you go into detail, you will find the problems of all these age groups are different and the management is different. Annat is 4 to 16 years. After preschool till this thing. Jatamatra is baby still attached to the cord. Early neonate. We call it early neonate, first day. Satojadi is birth to 28 days. In modern pediatrics, we call it neonatal period. Up to 28 days. Balak is up to 5 years. Very important in modern medicine, especially in pediatric age group. Social pediatrics, we call them under 5s. We have under 5 clinics and various schemes aimed at the health of under 5. POGD is 5 to 16 years. That include the school and pre-puberty age group. So the names are different, but the age group is the same in ancient Kaumar Bhritya and modern pediatrics. Now it's a little difficult for people who are not exposed to medicine to go through this next slide, but it is really worth it. I've tried to make it as simple as possible. The classification of severe febrile illness, where diseases are characterized by high fever. Now in Ayurveda, why it happens, they have explained, and the equivalent in modern medicine, modern pediatrics. So let us see. If the child presents with dizziness, thirst, that means dehydration, burning sensation, severe headache and fits. Now, which system is involved? As per Kaumar Bhritya, Vata, that means the central nervous system is involved. That's involved the maximum. And in Pitta is, nutrition is also involved, but structure is not involved, Kapha is not involved. This is equivalent to, in modern medicine, most probably, encephalitis. That means febrile illness of the brain, where the CNS, Vata, as per Ayurveda, Vata is maximum involved. So they knew that its involvement with the central nervous system. Now come to pneumonia. In modern medicine, we call it pneumonia. The child presents with cough, distress, drowsiness, anorexia and chest pain. Again, these systems are, Vata is involved, central nervous system is involved, and Kapha, that means the structure, the lungs are involved, the structure. And nutrition is not that much involved. So they knew that in pneumonia, severe respiratory illness, it is central nervous system and the structure which is involved. If the child comes with vomiting, temperature instability, that means suddenly the child goes into severe hypothermia, normal fever, and prostration, then the child goes into shock. There, Pitta and Kapha, nutrition and structure are involved. Most probably it is due to endotoxic shock, severe infection. Then we come to rheumatological illness, joint involvement, joint pains, bone pains, headache, dry mouth. So here also severe is the Kapha, the structure is involved. So it's probably rheumatological illness. Weakness, fainting, red stool and urine, sweating, rashes, loose stools. Here again the Pitta, nutrition is involved maximum. Probably enteric fever, typhoid, where the gastrointestinal system is involved. Then cough, lassitude, vomiting, dizziness, anorexia, that will loss of appetite, restlessness, where Kapha, the structure is involved, lungs, probably influenza. Now nasal congestion, drowsiness, headache, lassitude, anorexia, severe involvement of the structure, the sinuses, probably sinus infection. Same way, hepatitis. Then, very interesting, headache, vomiting, delirium. Headache, vomiting and high fever is the 3 classical signs of meningitis in modern medicine. They have also suggested severe involvement of central nervous system, meningitis. Bone pains, drowsiness, pallor, involvement of Kapha, that means the structure, bone marrow. We have said that blood and bone marrow, is it leukemia? They knew it. Now, this is Pondicherry Institute of Medical Science, where my interest in our heritage increased suddenly because I started taking part in their talks. Morning we had a free-for-all, where most of the talks were about Bible. So I started talking to them about Bhagavad Gita and our literature. Just to. Now, example of similarities. Now, this is something which really shook me up when I read this. Now, let us talk about fetal development, antenatal, natal and postnatal. That is, care of the pregnant lady care of the delivery and after the delivery. Congenital anomalies. That means any abnormality in the structure which is inherited. Modern medicine and Sage Kashyap, they follow the same protocol, same costly factors, same management, same protocol. It looks like it's a cut paste actually. Now, our forefathers say that children are the wealth of the nation. Healthy progeny is called Supraja. It is to produce a Supraja is the holy duty of all the married couple, as per our heritage. Now, what are the preconception preparation? That means how the parents should be prepared. What you need is a healthy seed and a very fertile soil. So, healthy parents, good conduct. Healthy seed, sperm and ovum. Healthy mother, healthy soil, uterus. No consanguinity. Very, very important. All these are given in Kashyap Samhita. It is mentioned in Sushruta Samhita. It is mentioned in Charaka Samhita. It is mentioned in all modern textbooks of obstetrics, gynecology and pediatrics. Now, antenatal care. Now, structured management of pregnancy has been advised by all our sages, whether he was a surgeon or a physician or a pediatrician. And what does it include? The doctors will agree with me. Diet, very important. No substance abuse, again very important. Avoid injuries, avoid trauma. Structured activity, slowly, one should not lay quiet. They should have structured activity. Clothing, loose clothing, yoga, traditional medication, wholesome regimen, and a healthy mind. It is the same thing which is taught to in modern medicine also. Obstetricians tell them all these things. Now, intranatal care, observe hygiene, infection control, very, very important. Encourage bearing down. That means the lady has to push the baby down. This is given in by our sages also, plus modern books of obstetrics and gynecology. Now, neonatal care. Anybody who has practiced neonatal care, they will agree with me, they practice same even today. Vulva parimarjana, that is cleaning and drying the baby. Don't you do it? You do it even now, isn't it? First thing, when you receive the baby, clean the baby, receive in a warm cloth, wrap in a warm cloth so that the baby doesn't go into hypothermia. Prana pratyagamana, cleaning of the mouth. And again, very important, the cleaning of the mouth is very important. We always say, M comes before N. That means mouth should be cleaned before nose. Because if you put a stimulus in the nose, the baby will breathe. And whatever secretion in the throat, he will aspirate it. So M has to be before N, mouth. This is given in Kashyap Samhita. You have to clean the mouth first. Physical stimulation. We don't advise beating the baby like this. You just stimulate it, just rub on the back, that's all, physical stimulation. Even our books, they don't say that, Then Nabi Chedan is cutting off the coat. Jatamatra is infection control. Now, phototherapy, there is a very interesting thing. Like when Scandinavia, one nurse kept the sample of blood on the window, and she forgot about it. It was exposed to sunlight. Then she suddenly realized, after some time, that there is a discoloration. So she thought probably this will work. I think there is something here. This will work in the treatment of phototherapy. Then I remembered, my uncle was supposed to be a specialist in jaundice treatment. I heard him when I was a kid telling the patient, you stand in the sunlight early morning in your pond in waist deep of water. Then it struck me, why he has said that. Then I went into detail. Then I found that Kamala treatment in ancient India, Ayurveda is this main treatment is only. So only they observed it in 1950s and called it as phototherapy. Why early morning? The rays, the wavelength of the rays in the morning sun and the evening sun, they are more conducive for breaking down the insoluble bilirubin. That also they knew, that you have to stand in the water in the morning in sun. Now, Rigveda, Atharvaveda, not even Kashyap Samhita, or before that, the Vedas talk about treatment of Kabbalah. Now, congenital anomaly. This is something, at best. What are the procreative factors, predisposing factors? Sage Kashyap says Matrija. We call it maternal. Sage calls it Pitrija. We call it paternal. He calls it Atmaja. We call it soul, psychiatric. He calls it Rasaja. We call it nutritional. Sadhyaja, we call it wholesomeness, modern practitioners. Sattvaja, we call it psyche and mind. And he talks about why people don't get married in same gotra. To prevent consanguinity. We call it avoid consanguinity. So, will you agree with me? It is cut and paste from Kashyap Samhita. Avari and Farfar, then Klohati, they say the same thing, which we studied. Exactly the same predisposition and management at the Fenner of Avery and Klohati. Two standard textbooks in neonatology. This is the best hospital in Kerala. It's a 1,000-bedded NABHN JCA accredited hospital. During JCA accreditation, I had the opportunity with the medical director interact with the inspectors who came from abroad. And they asked me, why are you not encouraging your Ayurveda in your hospital? I will tell you what happened later on. We started off. This is my most favorite topic, breastfeeding. Now, Bhumi Sukta, first mention, earliest mention about breastfeeding. May Earth provide us with all the things we require, like a mother who breastfeeds her child. Earth in which Ashwins measured out and Vishnu strode, may she pour milk for me, a mother to the sun. So even before the modern world started talking about breast milk, they knew, our forefathers, they knew the importance of breast milk. Yajurveda, bring in the middle of flood, O Agni, this breast full of sap, welcome this fountain redolent of sweetness. Atharva Veda is fantastic, May 4 oceans full of milk constantly abide in both your breasts, you blessed one, for the increase of the strength of the child. They knew it is required for the child. Drinking of the milk, whose sap is the sap of immortal life divine, may your baby gain long life, as do the gods by feeding on the beverage of immortality. So, Atharva Veda is comparing breast milk to Amrit. Charaka mentions importance of breastfeeding. Sushruta mentions advantages of rooming in. That means to keep the baby next to the mother, not separate. Even today you will find most of the corporate hospitals, they keep the newborn in a separate room. The best incubator in the world was, it is and it will be the mother. So, the best care for the newborn is given when you keep the baby next to the mother. Skin of the baby touching the skin of the mother, you don't even bother to put a cloth in between. This is most important. Now, it's not only our scripture. Let's see what Bible says. Like newborn babies, you should crave, thirst for, earnestly desire the pure, unadulterated spiritual milk, that by it you may be nurtured and grow into salvation, since you have already tasted the goodness and kindness of the Lord. Lady who came up to Jesus and said, blessed is the womb that bare thee, and the paps which thou hast sucked. Surah, Quran says, the mothers shall give suck to their offspring for 2 whole years. Not even 1.5 years, 2 years. Now, a spiritual tinge is added to certain practices to ensure compliance. Our forefathers were very, very clever. Now, olden days, our people were scared of the Panchabhutas. They were scared of the Almighty. So, to ensure that they follow a good scientific practice, they introduced a little bit of spirituality and fear into it. One classic example is what I told you is the Annaprasana feeding. Now, if you tell a mother, you only breastfeed, give breast milk till 5 months of age, 6 months of age, probably they will not listen. They will think, baby is crying, it's not enough. So, whatever our forefathers, they said, don't introduce solids till you give the first feed to the baby in front of your deity, family deity when the child is 5.5 to 6 months. They're scared. If I introduce solids to the child, deity will get angry, something is going to happen. So they used to ensure that breast milk is given to the baby till 5 months. This is one thing. Blowing of conch. Now, the modern spirometry, when you get admitted for lung problem, the doctor will tell you, okay, improve your lung fit by blowing a balloon or, blowing into the spirometer. Our forefathers knew it. So the predecessor of spirometry is blowing the conch. But if you tell everybody you blow the conch every day 5 times to improve your health, nobody will follow. So they said it is mandatory that before every function, every solemn function, during solemn function, after the solemn function, before the war, before you start the fight a day, during the fight, after the fight is over, you have to blow the conch. And the person who can blow the conch the longest, he is considered to be a hero. So they ensured that people get adequate exercise for their lungs. This is blowing of conch. Now, music therapy. This is a study done by our department, AFMC. The neonatologist was Girish Gupta, retired as a rear admiral. See, we all know that music is good for everything. Babies, even animals, trees, everything. People have studied music, but nobody has studied the effect of different types of music. And we decided to study it in the newborn. It's very important. Why? See, we selected babies of the same gestation, say 26 to 28 weeks, preterm babies. We didn't want to risk the even earlier one, 22 weeks. We selected 4 types of music. One is a lullaby sung by the mother, because everybody says, the baby gets used to the mother's voice. One lullaby sung by Lata Mangeshkar, the nightingale. One beautiful, excellent instrumental music lullaby. And 4th one was the Garbh Sanskar video, tape recorded by Amitabh Bachchan. You know what is Garbh Sanskar music? Talk. Olden days, they used to expose the pregnant ladies to this particular thing, Garbh Sanskar music, talks, songs, so that their mind becomes at peace and the baby also gets benefited. So we expose these babies, fixed timing, we played this music very softly in their crib. And what we noted the heart rate, the respiratory rate, the oxygen saturation, and the time they took to go to sleep, settle down. And it was a rude shock that we all expected they will respond to the mother's music best. They responded to the Garbh Sanskar music the best. The respiratory rate, the heart rate, the saturation, everything settled out and they went to sleep fast. Why? Because probably the frequency of the words used in the mantra, the way it is chanted, the music, they became more soothing to the newborn. That may be the reason why our forefathers insisted that all the pregnant ladies should be exposed to this particular line of management. Now, Garbh Sanskar means education of the mind of the fetus. The pregnant mother is made to listen to this regularly. This practice can be traced back to ancient scripture in Ayurveda. This is also part of Kaumar Bhritya, Paediatrics, neonatal care. You just look at this building. This is the place where we worked for about 2 years to revive it. It was a hospital in Malappuram district, which was built as per the typical Vastu style of Kerala. Courtyards, we call it Nadabuttam. This hospital has got 9 courtyards, 7 floors with a roof, glass roof. You can imagine this is you will not find such a building like that. Now, conclusion. I hope I have not bored you. Now, India's ancient system of medicine, Ayurveda, is attracting renewed attention and followers. Unfortunately, the attention and follow is being given by foreigners. You go to any resort in Kerala, any Ayurvedic treatment home in Kerala, 90% of the clientele are from abroad. Now our people have started going. Very few are aware of the contribution of Ayurveda in pediatrics. The first exclusive textbook in pediatrics, Kashyapa Samhita, dated 600 BC. It is very unlikely that these were based on conjectures only. Could have been backed by evidence. Information is lacking as well. We should create evidence. I told you why there is no evidence textbooks. Because the teaching was by word of mouth. There was hardly any textbooks. The best evidence is that it has withstood the test of time. 10,000, 15,000 years it has withstood, and it is still flourishing. There is plenty of scope for research. I'll tell you about the research also. Now, take home messages. It has withstood the test of time. Positive textbook due to word of mouth teaching in Gurukul system. Many textbooks have been destroyed. When Nalanda University, such places were actually create evidence. Now, Vaidyaratnam is one of the Ashtavaidyans in Kerala. They got one of the largest chains of hospital in India. There is a good branch in Secunderabad also. They got a fantastic R&D department, research and development department. They are creating evidence. I don't know, doctors know there is a disease called amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. It is a degeneration of nerves which leads to muscle weakness, and ultimately the patient becomes absolutely immobile and there is no treatment. So what they did was, they selected 8 patients who were treated by modern medicine with physiotherapy and whatnot, and they put them on an Ayurveda treatment which included Ayurveda medication, physiotherapy, yoga, music and vocational therapy. And there is something called a severity rating system. I was involved because I helped them to make the presentation. They did this study because I was close to them. They asked me, they want to present it in a national conference. I helped them to make the presentation. This rating system, when the patient was reviewed after 1 year, they found there was a statistically significant improvement in the condition of the patient. And this paper won gold medal in the national conference. And then I told them, this 8 patients is not enough. You have a multi-centric study. Involve more hospitals, involve all your branches, and you should have 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. That is how we should create evidence. That's very important. One shortfall of modern medicine is that nowadays everybody wants to go back to work the same day or the next day. If somebody comes with high fever, or dehydration, we don't have anything in Ayurveda to treat that, manage that emergency. So the only solution is that integrate all the systems of medicine. A patient comes to an integrated healthcare center where you have everything, homeo, Ayurveda, allopathy, everything. The acute emergency can be managed, allopathy is better for that. Acute emergency should be managed by them, patient handed over to the other department. And it's not like that. From the beginning, they should be involved in the management. All of them. That is the only answer. But what is the answer to that? Create public awareness. It should start from home. Second is, legislation is not enough. It should come from our own heart. If something happens, many of the doctors who are dead against introducing Ayurveda, on the quiet, they go and take Ayurveda treatment. I know many of them, my friends also. They quietly go and take treatment from Ayurveda. It should be introduced in the curriculum. This the government can do. Curriculum is, the MBBS student need not be taught Ayurveda and vice versa. But they should be taught about the similarities of both the systems of medicine, so that they become wiser. Same way, students in Ayurveda, they should be taught about the similarities in modern medicine. So this should be brought in the policy at a higher level. There will be lots of objections. Now I'll tell you what happened in Radhagiri. I had lots of say there because I and 3 fathers with me, they didn't know anything about medicine. So I told them, we will start Ayurveda. There was solid objection from all the doctors. Oh, what is this? Sir, you are a modern medicine chap, you are a pediatrician, you have been a teacher, academician. I said, let us try. So we outsourced it as a trial. It failed because, not because Ayurveda was not good or something. We were a JCI accredited hospital. So the documentation, accreditation criteria, the medical records, everything has to be as per the JCI standards, which was not possible. So we went it up. Then I convinced the father. We had an Ayurveda doctor, a smart lady, working in the HR department. I said, make her the in charge. Let us have a Rajagiri Department of Ayurveda. Within the next 7 months, we couldn't take even a single patient from outside because the entire bed and manpower was used in looking after the referral from sister departments, starting from orthopedics, neurosurgery, neurology, physiotherapy, even obstetricians for antenatal and postnatal care. They are referring patients to the Department of Ayurveda now. That is, we should start. All the corporate hospitals should be encouraged to follow this. At least on a trial basis, they should. At least big government hospital should do this. This can be brought in the policy. This is exactly what should be done at the higher level. But again, I will again emphasize, you should start with our own health, our own home. If there is a chronic problem, don't expect miracles. Second thing is lots of restrictions during this management. We should be able to follow it. But I can tell you, the results will be excellent. You will never regret it. I am speaking from personal example. My own example, again I tell you, I told about my wife. From my young days, I got severe nasobronchial allergy. I have my nose, there is nothing original in my nose and sinuses. I have undergone about 7 different surgeries, nothing happened. I went to Vaidyaratnam, last year got admitted for 21 days. They treated me. I could get rid of fluticasone spray. That's a big advantage. Every day I had to take fluticasone spray 2 times a day. But the treatment was miserable. I can tell you, it is very difficult. There is something called nasyam. Nasyam means they will pour medicated oil into your nose. The most important component that oil is pepper. You can imagine, they put 5 ml of oil, warm oil with pepper and other medication with the nose. After that, I used to bring out about half a liter of secretion from my nose. It was torture. Then there is something called, they put medicated smoke. They will make one, put it in the nose, in the ear, in the throat, this medicated. But I tell you, it is fantastic. I could get rid of the steroid spray after that. I have mild symptoms even now, but I am very happy I went there. But so this is the way any chronic problem, I think we should be aware of what was available there. We should encourage integration of all the system. We should encourage research and development in Ayurveda. This is very, very important. That's the only way out. Unfortunately, fortunately, this effort is coming only from abroad. Any query? I'm willing to answer. I'm sorry once again because of the that technical problem we couldn't project it, but they were very good. They sent it to you a WhatsApp.
Can you please speak about the modern food habits and dietary conditions that we have prevalent in our society? Basically, milk and products. They are not as good as in the olden days. So this has got a great effect on respiratory aspects, allergic symptoms, and management of mother's health. Can you please speak on this, how to manage by the mothers?
I have a very good presentation. Can you send that also? Goat's Pharmacy. There's a presentation of Goat's Pharmacy in my laptop. If you can send it to them, I can talk about that also. Now let's start with, before the type of food, let us go to our food habit. When do we work maximum? It is during the morning hours. When we work the least, during night hours. So our forefathers have recommended we should have a wholesome breakfast. a light lunch and a very light dinner. But what is happening now? Most of the people who diet, they miss their breakfast. I think you will all agree with me, especially the Generation Z. They miss their breakfast. They have something in between to eat. They come back and hog something in the night. So our entire, you can say the biological cycle of our body and the digestive system, which we are supposed to maintain, that is gone for a six with these eating habits. Now they all, nowadays there is another craze, I don't know. See, when a new thing comes, the normal reaction is, the graph goes like this. They say mankind is saved. Now the latest fad is protein diet. Protein. They say to prevent muscle loss, everybody should eat at least 2 grams of protein per day. Like I am 77 years old, I am 72 kilos weight, heavy. So I am supposed to eat 140 grams of protein. 140 grams of protein comes to around 6 grams of protein in one neck average. So you can imagine 114 around, I'll have to eat around 20, 30 eggs every day. As per the new thing. People are eating that also. I've seen people eating that. It's definitely bad. Then what will happen? After some time, some bad effects will be reported. Then the graph will come down. It's a poison. Don't take even a gram of protein. Then everybody will stop taking it. Then after a long time, it will come back, in selected people, depending upon their activity. It is nice to have this much of protein. And more protein is actually a load on your kidney. These people don't. See, in one way, we should have a mixed diet. From time immemorial, we have been saying that 40-20-20. 40% of the calories should come from, 60-20-20. 60% of calories should come from carbohydrate, 20% of protein, 20% from fat. That is a very good combination. Now, if somebody wants to build muscle, he should definitely take more protein. But the problem is a person who build muscle mass like that, the moment he stops taking it or stops exercising, the same thing will happen. What happened to the great Pahalwan Gama? The day he stopped wrestling, he became absolutely skinman mode overnight. He developed all sorts of diseases. He was undefeated wrestling champion of the world. And those days he was not taking steroids. He was only taking meat, milk and milk. So this thing will happen. So we should have a balanced diet, and we should eat properly. Preferably what is cooked at home. What is cooked at the time it is normally taken, it should be socially acceptable. It should be affordable. One mistake we do is people get admitted for nutritional problem. We feed them nicely in the hospital, tell them you continue the same diet. Poor child may not be able to accept it. So when the patient goes on discharge, we should advise them to have a meal, find out what they are eating normally, and make a diet plan and give it to them. Now milk and milk products, as pediatrics, we don't encourage it at all. Unfortunately, even the legislation has been a failure till now. Milk substitutes and milk products. You go to any place, you will find the same thing in the shelves. In fact, I will tell you, people were very crazy about Cerelac and Nestum cereal, Cerelac. I asked them, what does Cerelac contain? Many people, they don't know. Cerelac contains only wheat. That also not good wheat. It is the wheat which has been damaged in godowns, FCI godown, which is bought by these multinational. It is processed and sold. 400 gram tin cost about 120 rupees. 400 grams of rava, suji rava cost only 30 rupees. And that 30 rupees is better than buying this. I tell the mothers, make rava ka ghir halwa, you eat it, give it to the child also. Same thing, Nestum cereal. Nestum cereal, damaged rice converted into Nestum cereal. Same thing. आप अच्छा चावल खरीद के उसका घीर बना के खुद खाओ और बच्चे को खिलाओ. Same thing. Vegetables is very important. I will send you a presentation on goat pharmacy. I will just give few examples in that. Now, when God created, first made water, then earth, dry year, then it became wetter, he planted trees, then that evolution. He made certain food items which give excellent clue which organ it is going to support. For example, carrot. We all know carrot is a resource of vitamin A, which is essential for your vision. If you cut a carrot and look at it, looks exactly like your eye retina. Cut a carrot and see iris, retina, everything. You cut a carrot and see. Tomato is red. You cut it, it has got 4 to 5 chambers. It is red. Your heart, cut 4 chambers. Now, modern science has discovered tomato is the richest source of lycopene, which is supposed to be an excellent cardiotonic. So the God has told you, if you want to improve keep your heart healthy, eat more of lycopene. That is one thing. Again, there are various examples like this. Garlic and onion. They look like you look like your cell in different layers. They are the richest sources of antioxidants. Around 131 antioxidants have been isolated from these. They will prevent and repair tissue damage. So the God has told you, if you want to prevent tissue damage, have plenty of onions, plenty of olive. There again, something which look apricot. It look exactly like brain. Very good for brain. Take celery, long this thing. Then drumstick, good for your bones. It looks like bone. Eat that. Then grapes, they look like blood corpuscles. Good for your blood. Eat plenty of grapes. So that's known as goat pharmacy. It's a beautiful thing. You should do it. Then avocado. Avocado is excellent for health of uterus and ovary. And an avocado takes 9 months to ripe fruit. And a cut section of avocado is exactly like the section of a uterus. So there are so many things like that.
Yeah. So first, many thanks for such a wonderful discourse for every one of us. I would like to learn little more about few of the narrations you have made. In today's world, we talk of like data is data. So the data generated for any specific purposes, they are not only providing the new information, but they also are the way making people convinced for those information to be adopted. So for example, take the one of the narration you have made that the music which has been listened by the child and mother together while before delivery or during the delivery time, after delivery time. So do we have the data showing the differences from the different conditions, and particularly when we have the few different kinds of the situations, and in those different kind of situation, even the same music is played, the impacts would be different or likely to be different. For example, I can tell you the publications which came out from the American Journal of Neuropsychology. They talk of that they have generated a big amount of data. Those who sit every day at the ground, on the ground, and those who do not. So their neurological functioning found to be different. Those who are sitting every day at the ground, they found to be better, and that's how most of the now neurologists, they ask us to walk and all that. So again, we narrate with those examples. So can we have some information?
Definitely is a very interesting thing. I'll tell you, my aim of the talk today was to see the modern medicine, whatever we are practicing, which I mentioned, it is all supported by data. We call it evidence-supported medicine. My idea was to tell you that what is supported by evidence, the modern medicine, This is already mentioned in our scriptures long time back. Unfortunately, we don't have evidence based on what they made this observation. Now, I'll tell you one example about skin-to-skin contact. Correct me if I am wrong. It was a South American country, I don't know, it's Colombia, where lots of newborns were dying because of lack of facilities, infrastructure. They didn't have hospital, they didn't have newborn unit, they didn't have incubator. So two doctors, one was a pediatrician, one was probably somebody, anesthesia. They decided to use the mother as the incubator. So they started roaming in the newborn babies with the mother. And they produced data that the survival improved dramatically. And that technique came to be known as kangaroo mother care. Because kangaroo, they keep the newborn in that pouch. It's known as kangaroo mother care. And skin-to-skin contact is very important. They proved that mother is the best incubator. In the same way, you take phototherapy. Lots of evidence from modern medicine. But the very fact that Ayurveda mentions that as a treatment modality for jaundice, that means they knew about it. Now, take other thing. We have mentioned, all of you, we talk about Agnyastra, which will burn everything. Same as laser. Now we are talking about laser, which will burn even satellites, rockets, everything. Laser. So the very fact that they thought about that, Agnyastra. Now recently I read a very interesting thing about Annamalai. He is in the news now. He was talking about dark energy. Einstein has mentioned that 60 to 70, even more of the cosmic energy component is formed by dark energy. Dark energy. Now he says Bharatiya and other people, they have mentioned about this centuries back about Parashakti, that is the energy, which controls the entire cosmic energy. He says Einstein, this chap took only a century back to discover the same thing, which our ancestors have said long time back. There is something called Parashakti, which is the energy controlling everything. The ultimate energy is Parashakti. So these things are very interesting if you read. So we have to create data. That's what I said, Vaidyaratnam, they have started the job, but we should have more data, like compare the Ayurveda modality of treatment with the treatment in modern medicine. See, the very fact that orthopedicians, neurosurgeons, obstetricians are referring patients to Ayurveda for treatment, that means they are convinced about the utility. Only thing is they have to record it properly. Unfortunately, in India, the record keeping is very poor. Very poor. To give an example, there is something called fetal origin of fatal diseases. Doctors will know about it. Like hypertension, diabetes, the origin starts from the newborn when the baby is inside. How did it come out? In UK, one nurse, she started maintaining record of all the pregnant ladies, their health condition. Then she followed up their children for next 20 years, 25 years. And then she correlated these two. She said, these babies, these mothers who had this problem during pregnancy, those children developed hypertension, diabetes, that is they could fetal. So that is because of data keeping. Unfortunately, that is another thing we should say. We should maintain data. That is very important. But it takes a Herculean effort. First, you have to be convinced, you have to convince others, convince the government. Now the government is making lots of effort, but unfortunately, see, the place where I am coming from, it's a different issue, because I think this you should not put into the YouTube. This become a little political. Anything with a Hindi name or anything which is promoted by center is considered to be anathema in down south. So even Ayush, propagation of Ayush and all these things, they don't promote it. That's a very, very unfortunate thing. Like last meeting, he said there should be a political change. Then it will be easier. Yes, please, you're welcome.
This book was my grandfather was staunch Ayurvedic doctor, studied in Sanskrit, that subject, he practiced it throughout his life. So in the present day, modern techniques what we have developed, is there any possibility of conducting research on measuring or recording this Nadi Vigyan. For each and every aspect, there is a sloka how to understand it. If we can correlate with modern techniques and develop a system, perhaps it would be, you can add in your repertoire of information.
This is.
This is
So when we appeared for a MD exam, we had a 3-hour theory question on pulse. So even in modern medicine, pulse is a very important clinical, you can say, parameter. It can be affected in so many ways. It is different in many people. So it's a great thing. So maybe same thing, again, but this people feeling the pulse, I would suggest, one criteria alone should not be the basis for any diagnosis unless it is very clear cut. Those situations are very, very, very straightforward things, So just by feeling the pulse, that you will find only in movies. You will find many ideas. Oh, she is pregnant. Good news. That's not correct. There is no scientific basis for that. Yeah.
To only convey that this much of information which is available in our books, can it not be translated?
So definitely, sir, there will be something behind that which we don't know. My father used to tell me from childhood, don't disbelieve what you don't see. It may be there. So there may be there. I think it will be worth contacting such people and trying to get the reason for that. See, the very fact that, there is another thing also. So when you go to a doctor or somebody who practices this, the people who benefit, they will come and talk very high about him. The people they don't benefit, they will keep their mouths shut. So we probably think it's very good. See, 100% research, everybody is right. So, but it needs detailed study. Detailed study. Yeah.
Others, they conduct some study and they put a paper and it becomes big news. I am saying that our system should be able to do some studies into this aspect and generate some papers. This is what others are doing outside the nation on our field.
So our research has to improve a lot. We conducted a workshop in Calcutta, Command Hospital, for the guides, for the teachers of Calcutta zone in pediatrics. Those were guiding MD and DNB. You will be surprised that this should not be. Not even one person knew what is pi. What is the meaning of pi value, p value in that? Nobody knew. Then we asked the students, how do you manage? We see the teacher only thrice. Once when we go and select the topic for thesis, they tell us you go to the library, select a topic which is 6 years old from the library, and then second time we go is to get it signed. They don't even read it, they sign it. And next is when we get the signature for the examination form. So first of all, we should have good teachers, people who are interested in research, good research institutions. Now to, like Cochrane database, to qualify, that is supposed to be the final authority even more than FDA. To get into that study, the institution has to qualify so stringent criteria. If 1,000 institutions try, only 2 will qualify for that. Once it comes in Cochrane database, this particular modality is effective, that becomes the authority. If they say it is not effective, that is left there only. So research has to be taken. But I don't know how many of you are interested in research, how many people want to spend on research. It needs lots of investment.
So next
research
question,
and development.
please.
And after spending 2 millions, probably nothing may come out. So people have to write on that. It's very, very sad actually.
Yeah, that's very illuminating. Thank you for the talk. Talking of, the Nadi, which we have just been talking about, while I was working at the Indian Institute of Chemical Technology, I had a doctor, Dr. Ravi Shankar, I can name him. He's a cardiac specialist, done some very good work. Maybe when he came to us, he has done about 100 operations. But then, because of his grooming, he was fascinated by Ayurveda, like the way that you are. And then he was actually trying to get some. He was trying to get some census made for recording the nadis. Okay? So he came to us and then he said that he can actually feel about 64 different signatures of nadi, from which he'll be able to predict or say that what disease he has, the person has. He can, as we have taken him round, and then he was able to identify someone who had a prostate attack, someone who had a cervical problem, someone has some other problems. So all these things he was able to do that. Okay? But then we failed to actually make a sensor for him, though I come from a sensor background. The simple reason is that we do not know the signature of the nadi. Okay? And we found it extremely difficult for him to give us what is the signature of the 64 nadis that he is able to do that. Okay. But then yes, there is science behind that, which unfortunately we are not able to do that. Okay. And this is a comment which I made. My query is not related to this, not related to Kaumar Bhritya. What we have observed is the R&D in science, the ancient science, okay, is dead for 1,000 years. So it was thriving before 1,000 years, and after 1,000 years it has become dead, mainly coinciding with the foreign invasion. Okay? The best metallurgy is lost, the astronomy is lost, mathematics is lost. Ayurvedic somehow survived. I don't know why, but it has survived. Okay? Maybe you can articulate the reason why it survived. Will others have already been collapsed. Okay? And the second part of my query is, one observation which people have about Ayurveda is it is highly personalized. Once it is highly personalized medicine, it becomes not very friendly for the marketing guys. We talk about the pharmacy guys. Okay? So while the pharmacy guys are very happy to come out with generic medicines and then make money, the medicine for Ayurveda takes backseat because it is perceived to be highly personalized. And Chaudhary was talking about public systems and then what systems can we have to improve this. So with your experience, maybe can you say what public policy must be done to encourage people, the pharmacists, to come and then look at Ayurvedic medicines and then see that it is available. Thank you so much.
See, 2-3 things. One is about you talked about, Ayurveda is somehow or other, it's just pulling on. You'll be surprised to know the first book in metallurgy in the modern world came in 15,500 or 3. While before that time we had 500 books on metallurgy in India. And Nagarjuna is considered to be the father of metallurgy in the world. So research used to be there. Second is personalized. See, scientifically speaking, even modern medicine has to be personalized. The reason is that, see, every human being is unique. Suppose my own age group, my own sex, my own physical condition, everything is same. If I take a tablet of paracetamol, if that person takes a tablet, the response will be totally different in most of the time. So it has to be personalized. So there is nothing like Ayurveda is highly personalized, or then again Ayurveda, it's a question of demand and supply. Why there is so much of research in allopathy, in modern medicine? Because there is a market. There is a market. They will be able to make money. Again it is a technique. Like why suddenly there is a hue and cry about bird flu? Suddenly after so many years. Because Tamiflu, people have got stock of billions of dollars of Tamiflu, they want to get rid of that. So whatever they have spent in research, and they will make up, they will build. But Ayurveda, there is nothing, no demand. So we have to create the demand. If all of us, the most important, you should have faith in the treatment, if you want to go. If all of us go and seek, again the issue is, it is very difficult to find a good Ayurveda physician. It is very difficult to find a good homeopathic, and nowadays it is very difficult to find a allopathy doctor also. Is a doctor. Now you go to any of these massage centers, Ayurveda massage, half of them, they don't know anything about Ayurveda. It is just physical massage, so it is very difficult. So we have to create awareness amongst public. We should go in search of good Ayurvedic doctors, encourage them, then automatically it will come, research will come. Now whatever we have practiced, I said which was present in our time, olden time, they have got evidence in modern times, same thing. We only want to emphasize it was, even our forefathers knew about it. They were practiced. The Nadi Vaidya also, the very fact that it has survived such a long period, test of time, that means there, I can assure this, definitely there is something which you don't know, I don't know. That doesn't mean that it is not there. So the people who are practicing it, they have to come out with it. They have to show results also. Their treatment, their diagnosis, their result, they have to document it and present it. And it's not like that. Unless you compare it with the modern medicine, to say something is more effective or it's better, you have to always compare it with similar treatment in an almost comparable population, two different populations. I cannot compare the result in a child with a 70-year-old child. If I have to compare the result in a small child, it has to be with the result in another small child. More or less the same thing, matching.
Next question, please.
Thank you for the wonderful presentation, sir. So my question is with regard to the public health policy. With regard to the public health policy.
Yeah.
So how we can incorporate those traditional practices in the current pediatrics, at least division with regards to vaccination, general health care, or at least take care of infants and child care. So what, as a public doctor, what would you recommend government of
I told you something. Legislation alone is not going to help. We have to see, it has to be a concerted effort. There should be awareness in the population who should go for this treatment. There should be awareness in the other practice, other systems of medicine. I refer patients to Ayurveda. I refer my patients to homeopathy at times. Because I say, I cannot manage this. It needs a long-term management. There is a good treatment. I in fact refer some of the good Ayurveda doctors also. You go and meet him. And they are very happy. They go there and they get cured and they come back. So it has to be a concerted effort.
There is a tradition in that pregnant women are not allowed to some occasions like a marriage or doing some sort of puja or something like that, because it is not good to hear those mantras for pregnant women. Have you ever heard of it, and is there any scientific basis for that?
No, regarding? It's not clear. Can you use this?
Sir, the question is that in Andhra Pradesh there is practices where pregnant women are not allowed to undergo certain or hear certain mantras and religious practices. Is that right, sir?
I can talk about Garb Sanskar music, Gen Sanskar, that is proved, it is to be practiced. Others, I am not aware of what is happening.
The other question is, if the mother is suffering from some stress or something like that, a particular kind of stress, what are the chances that the child born will also develop such kind of stress in the later life?
See, like nowadays, olden days it used to be only from the family tree. We chart a family tree and we see what are the rate of recurrence in various conditions. But now we have got molecular analysis. You can analyze the DNA and find out if one child is affected. We can see the probability of recurrence. If the mother is affected, then there are certain things where the mother will manifest. Mother will not manifest, will pass it on to the sons. Mother will not pass it on to the daughter. There are so many conditions like that. Olden days we used to have only, see our ancestors had no consanguinity. This is more common when people with blood relation, they get married and produce children. Because both these them will be carrying probably traits. Trait means they don't manifest, but they can pass it on to the next generation. When people with trait, two of them get married, they can pass it on to the next generation. So it is very difficult, so it is better to avoid that. Whenever there is a family history of any abnormality, it's always better to take help from a qualified, an expert in genetics who will chart a family tree. From that you can reasonably well make out. Otherwise, go for an analysis, DNA. Mental stress, definitely stress. Any stress will have effect on the any generally. The fetus is considered the parasite who will take whatever is requested from the mother. But a mental stress will definitely affect the mother's general health. Mother's general health will definitely affect the fetal health.
Next question, please.
You're too audible, ma'am.
Good evening, sir. Am I audible, sir? Am I audible now?
Yeah. You can come closer. I am with a hearing aid also. I have age-related high frequency hearing loss. Yeah.
I'm an allopathic doctor. I'm an anesthesiologist.
Yeah.
And I agree with you that we, to some extent, have been brought up by our grandmothers and mothers in the like Chakra Chaya of Ayurveda, right from the beginning, right from our birth and all. And we definitely do believe in the power of Ayurveda. And I also believe, like I agree with you when you said that a patient who comes in emergency should first be treated by an allopathic doctor and then referred to Ayurveda. But in my 25 or so years of practice in anesthesiology, I have realized that it is the other way around. People go to the Ayurvedic physician first for 3 years, 4 years, and then when they land up in an emergency, they come to an allopathic doctor for surgery.
Yeah.
So my question is, what about responsibility taking? Like for allopathic doctors, we are held responsible for everything. When an Ayurvedic patient goes wrong, what about that? Like, when is that going to come in India? Responsibility taking. How about including them in Consumer Protection Act?
This is actually legal issue. Now this Consumer Protection Act in healthcare, it has become a big bugbear because there is a beautiful quote by the IMA president of Karnataka. I don't have. I think I have it with me in my mobile. How this came out, this was considered to be a very noble profession. But then they introduced tag, they introduced this thing, that thing. Ultimately, it was brought into a business, a trade license. It became a business and a trade. That is when this came. See, now it is a very this thing. Now, see, unfortunately, what is happening is this workplace violence has become very, very common because a patient who is brought to the hospital, even in a moribund condition, he is not supposed to deteriorate. He is not supposed to die. So suddenly there will be violence. See, you cannot put a scrambled egg back into a shell. That should be told. This needs public education, public awareness. Otherwise, see, we can do nothing. We can do nothing about it because it's all people. See, secondly, because of the social media, everybody has become very wise. WhatsApp University. So if you do something, they will say, the WhatsApp University not a replacement for experience. So it is a very, very difficult situation. No, it's not on. Yeah.
I'm Dr. Abhiruchi Patki. I'm a professor of anesthesiology, Nizam's Institute of Medical Sciences, Panchabhutas.
Yeah.
So, as you said, like actually the propaganda increased after the COVID era, and it was negative propaganda about allopathy, but it still exists in the public. And the problem is nobody takes responsibility once the patient comes to an allopathic doctor. and the relatives who are so much violent when an allopathic doctor goes along are like, they just show helplessness that, okay, we tried, he was there for 3 to 4 years, even that Ayurvedic doctor, Papa, we tried, but we didn't do anything. So why this difference? If they are like equal, if the science is as equal as allopathy, then why this difference is what my question.
See, I can tell you one thing, I don't think I'll be able to answer, but one thing I can tell you, 99% of the problems arising like this are due to lack of communication. Communication, when the patient comes to you, the relative, they should be told in one certain. Again, I'll tell you an example. This happened in CMC Vellore. A patient underwent cholecystectomy, developed complication. And the relatives went to the court, lots of issues, and they said the consent was taken. So the relatives said, sir, when we took the patient, we were under severe mental stress. Though they told us many of these things, we couldn't probably grasp it properly. Fortunately for the doctor, in the consent form, he has drawn a picture of the abdomen with liver, gallbladder, he has put arrow, plus, tenderness and all those things. So the judge says, if with so much of explanation, if you did not follow it, it is not the doctor's fault. So what saved him was the diagram. So communication is very important. Now this thing, you have to make it. See, now there are various, see nowadays, I will tell you about consent form. It's known as informed, you should start it. If you are going for NABH accreditation, JC accreditation, you have to have consent form. It is called informed consent. You know what are the part of informed consent? You have to tell them everything about the illness, modalities of treatment, what treatment you are advising, any alternatives, the consequences if they don't undergo the treatment, then it has to be signed by witnesses. Then you have to say it has been read to the patient in language which he or she understands. It has to be signed. So all these things has to be informed. That is for your safety. It is mandatory. If you don't have one in your hospital, go and start it tomorrow. You send me your email ID, I will send you a sample. It has to be there. I am surprised you don't have it if you don't have it.
Sir, I am Narasimhacharya. By profession, I am an advocate. I have a doubt in my mind. It's not a question of who must take the responsibility, but our question is the systemic, the public policy making in this. Because after all, if it is the medical profession works for the revival of the health, to remove the derangement of health, why should we look them in compartmentalized view? Ayurveda, because everybody is for the same ends. But Ayurveda, Unani and homeopathy, as you said, sir, Kapha, Vata, Pitta, there is a similar terminology for homeopathy also.
Yeah.
Sora, psychosis and syphilis like that. Because all those medicines are psychosomatic medicines.
So how many of us know about it? How many of us are aware of this? There are so many similarities. Nobody knows.
I have to that aspect only because the body and mind must be treated simultaneously.
Yeah, holistic treatment, it's mandatory.
That is holistic treatment, but where is the mind treatment in the allopathy?
It is there, definitely.
You are treating not the body, you are treating
I will tell you, I will give a classic example of treatment of mind. My uncle, Ayurveda physician, he had a long stethoscope. I was impressed with that when I was a school child, long stethoscope. When I went for medicine, I realized, why is he using this stethoscope? He will auscultate front and back from here to here to here, everything. So when I went on leave, I asked him, Uncle, you tell me, why are you auscultating this? We are taught auscultation. He says it is very important. They are very happy. His name was Shankarapilla. He says, Shankarapilla Vaidyan. After examining me, talking to me, he put the tube and examined me and said there is nothing wrong. He is very happy. This is psychological treatment. That was first lesson in psychology, clinical psychology. So you have to win the trust of the patient. That is very important.
Yes, will also work at that time. Even breastfeed that has got its own role in the treatment, am I right or not?
That again psychology at another. See, it's not difficult. It's doable. Now, when I see a neurologically challenged child, I never tell the parents what the child cannot do. You should never open your mouth. You cannot say the child cannot walk. But you can tell the child, sitting on a wheelchair, your child can do so many things. He can be a postgraduate, he can be a teacher, he can be a doctor. Don't tell him that, that is psychological treatment for the parents. It's very important.
Sir, for this policy making, because we are gathered here today for a purpose, that how this knowledge will go into policy making.
So I'll tell you, policy making, I'll tell you the biggest farce in Kerala, there is something called a Clinical Establishment Act, which the government is trying to implement for the last so many years, which is physically in every aspect, it is impossible. There is a rule. Why? They say if a patient comes for appendectomy, the hospital should write down the charges. It should not be varying from that. If you say appendectomy, 25,000 rupees, it has to be for all. It's impossible. Like if a healthy individual of 20 years without any premorbidity comes with appendectomy, it will be a very simple process. If a 50-year-old chap with diabetes, hypertension, and half a dozen medicine, he will need so many other tests, investigations, management for that appendectomy, for control of diabetes. So it cannot be the same. The government is refusing to believe it. So this Clinical Establishment Act is going up and down the court for the last 6 years. It has not been finalized. Otherwise, every hospital is supposed to display all the services with the rates. You cannot have same rate for all the patients, all the conditions. And if you say 25,000, if you spend 50,000 on the patient, you cannot charge more than 25,000. So legislation has to be in consultation with the stakeholder, the consultant, the healthcare professional, and it should be practicable. Otherwise, no amount of legislation is going to help.
Sir, my name is Sir. I'm basically an internist. I did my MD in internal medicine, my MD as well. Then I studied BAMS Ayurveda and I did an MPhil in Ayurveda. I practice it again. Thank you for the wonderful talk. Just a couple of points I wanted to comment there.
Yes, sir, definitely.
You spoke elaborately about the similarities between systems.
Yeah.
I thought we also need to highlight the differences between the systems. The fundamental difference I found after studying both the systems is in the understanding of what Ayurveda calls as Nidana of a disease. It is the only system that I found might be generally going to equate all Ayurveda systems. And they have their own rules, denying that as well. But Ayurveda is very unique in the sense that it talks about a specific causation of every disease. Starting from even a simple upper respiratory tract infection or an allergy or something, and that is the actually defining part of Ayurveda, because you'll be aware, it says that Sankshepa Kriyayo Nidana. In short, the treatment of a disease is just remove the cause. Now, and that is where there's a whole, even the Charaka, Sushruta, one whole section of the textbook is devoted to Nidana, and that is the uniqueness.
Yeah.
And with so much of postgraduate strengths, we are not actually looking at that at all, which is a very neutral area of research. Madam asked a very interesting question. I spent so many years in critical care and then I started practicing Ayurveda. In relation to that question, the answer I feel is because of the same reasons. We do not tell if somebody is jaundiced or somebody is coming with a high fever. We don't have an answer what they have done to come to that stage. Our whole policy is, okay, now we will do this, we will do this, and we will do this. We are not talking what the patient did to come to that point. Because we don't understand the disease and we do not communicate it, rightly said communication. But even with the communication, we do not understand the patient's own role in the disease causation. If we actually spend 2 minutes and say, your patient has done ABCD to come to this stage, unfortunately, the major cause for his illness or health is himself. I will try my best. If we add this one sentence, actually many problems will come. The last comment I want to make, sir, is I think we need to differentiate between the system of Ayurveda and the practitioners of Ayurveda. Because it's the heaven and hell difference between both of them. To study Ayurveda is a very difficult thing unless you are rooted in Sanskrit, you are rooted in Darshanas. Very difficult to study the science. I found it more difficult to study Ayurveda than to study modern medicine. So trying to equate
the system of Ayurveda, the practitioner of Ayurveda is a very critical mistake. And if we do it, we are only causing more and more harm to ourselves. Forget Ayurveda, forget systems. Because Ayurveda is a science and we have to encourage scientists to look at it.
I tell my students, see, ideally, our practice should be hit, but we always miss. Miss means, moment the patient we manage, start managing, M. When we fail in our management, we try to investigate, I. And then we try to salvage, S, miss. It should be other way around. H is history and clinical examination, 90%. Then investigate, 8%. And 2% is our experience, then treat. But we do this. See, that is very important, whether it is in Ayurveda or... see, I went to Vaidyaratnam. I was sitting there. I was sitting with the previous generation moves. The way he went into the history of the patient, it was about 1 hour. It was a treat actually. I never seen that type of history taking in my student life or a teaching life. And that's very important. And based on that, you should know, you should dig out the root cause of a particular illness. Then the progress, what can be done. Then you investigate. Ayurveda, there are very few investigations actually. Nowadays, they have also started doing CT, MRI and other things because they all have allopathy consultant with them because many of their patients are already on allopathy treatment. So they sit and discuss. So this is integration. This legislation alone is not going to help unless it is after discussion with the stakeholders, the clientele, the public. Then only they should legislate. Otherwise it will be a failure. It will be in the court only most of the time.
I'm coming to you. Sir, thank you for a very excellent informative.
I should thank you, sir, giving an opportunity to speak to you.
I have a small question out of curiosity in my mind. You gave several examples of the systems or terminology or various classifications which are found in modern medicine were already there.
Yeah, it is there. Yeah.
Now, what I want to ask is, have you found anything, a very distinct feature of Ayurveda which existed then, which is distinctly known, but which doesn't reflect in the modern medicine practices?
See, certain things like, I tell you this treatment of amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. Allopathy, there is nothing like what they tried in Ayurveda. They have tried from their literature only. They said this particular, this oil bath, then certain tablets which you were given. All these things were there. Probably it will be there. See, I am not so knowledgeable about Ayurveda, but it has to be there. There has to be, people will come out with it today or tomorrow. They will come. But all said and done, there has to be an integration of all these systems of medicine under the same roof. Patients should be managed by a team. See, these major solutions like, training Ayurveda doctors in IND or antibiotics for 1 year, like it doesn't work. It has to be a long-term process. Of course, government is trying for it, but the results are not very that good till now, but it will come.
Namaskaram, sir. I'm KSR, sir. Yes, it was it is not a question, sir. I have a doubt about the ancient medical system with respect to the vaccination. So, especially paediatrics, especially for kids, we observe that they suffer from smallpox, chickenpox, measles, mumps and rubella, etc. So there is a vaccination in modern medical system. But I just want to understand and I just want to know whether these kinds of vaccinations were available in ancient medical system.
I didn't mention it. Vaccination first started in Varanasi in India, in the world. It was the Brahmins of Varanasi used to take discharge from the lesions of cows affected with smallpox and used to inject it, introduce it into the skin of the that cow herds and the milk people. This is there in record. This was long time before Edward Jenner came out with smallpox vaccination. It was there already. Because I got a presentation on entire medicine in Asia, which is about 4 hours. It is there.
Thank you, sir. We will have the last question as we are running out of time.
Professor Rajkumar, Former Director, Active Ownership, by profession is signal processing engineer. So I have a question and a remark to make. The question is about, see, when we sense the pulse, let's look at the number of variables. So the doctor says, okay, take a deep breath and senses a few things and a few places. To me, it sounds that the whole health system is significantly reduced and we are sensing only a pulse, going by the practice. If you ask me as a signal processing engineer, I will create 100 experiments and take the pulse. But that is from a signal processing engineer, not a physiologist. So, with so much reduced sensory output, can we pinpoint at a particular disease? Of course, we do correlate with other symptoms the patient talks about. So, to me, it looks like far simplified version. How to go back and then say so much can be detected from that? This is the question part. After answering it with the other remark.
Again, it all depends on the individual who has this problem. See, one may have one problem only, but most of the people whom you said that very, very reduced probably function will have many other comorbidities. It's very rare to have an isolated one. So it all basically depends on that root cause of the problem. That you have to go into detail, history, and if the damage is irreparable, then we have lung and heart transplant in the modern world. You have to change, you have lung transplant, you have heart transplant. There are certain situations where both are diseased. You can transplant all together. That is the only thing. Or if it is not fully damaged, you can probably control the damage. Then the agent which is causing the problem, remove that. Then probably it will be helpful. But lung and heart transplant is available in India. In many centers it is available even now.
So the next part is my remark. The remark is for the general consumption. When we send something like pulse out and then try to assess what went at the time of pregnancy and post-pregnancy is something like going back in memory. If my pulse today has the memory of when my mother was having me, and if that memory is strong, naturally I will be able to find some correlation. If that memory is too long, so the correlation will be different. Of course, at the age of 2 years and 1 year, if we can see the memory effect and correlate it in 60 years or 70 years, from there it can be studied and seen, but not of which is just a remark.
Good.
Thank you, sir. One last question, and then we will write up for today.
Namaste, sir. Thank you very much. I'm Dr. Smruti. I'm a pediatric allergy and asthma specialist. I'm here as a mother and also as a pediatrician and also genuine interest in Indian sciences, sir. So first I could see the spark in my daughter's eyes when the joy when she was listening to your lecture. So when I said about more of R&D should happen, I think your lecture should be heard by more young people who really would be passionate about taking it. It's not because you're not into medicine and so the next answer will be Ayurveda, next choice will be homeopathy. I would want someone like her who's genuinely interested and would develop the passion for it as a first preference to go into Indian sciences rather than as an alternative. Because we've seen many people like who choose career path, like who teach data sciences and all of that even from 5th grade and 6th grade. And why not this is what I feel, and I see that she's interested. And the second thing is, sir, I have taken research, sir, and I was privileged to do a few chapters of Ashtanga Hridaya with him, and I was trained in New York, sir, from a pediatric residency. So I've seen that the textbooks of Nelson, even the outdated one a year or 2 years ago, we don't go by that anymore. But then I was in awe when Sir said that Ashtanga Hridaya was from 7th century and it still holds good to even now. The first, the second chapter, I mean, I should have done more about it. Thank you, sir, again for this, and I think many children and many young people should attend your lectures or anything related to sciences. Thank you.
That is where Samskruthi Foundation comes in.
Yeah.
Last one.
This is Anuradha, I'm an advocate by profession. Sir, thank you for the enriching section. And I have a very practical question. Like most of the people, including many of us here, use both the systems, like Ayurveda in combination with allopathy or homeopathy and allopathy. So how far does it work well? Is it right for a person to use both in combination or three in combinations in some cases, critical cases like cancer or jaundice?
It has been found effective. I'll tell you why. Why? Most of the people come to Ayurveda, especially these good nursing homes, for chronic problems like backache or skin problems. Even I have seen for even autoimmune diseases they come. When they come, they're already have been on years of allopathy treatment, and nowadays. A Ayurvedic doctor, a good Ayurvedic, they will never ask you to stop the medicine immediately. Olden days it used to be there. Nowadays they don't stop. Most of these good hospitals have got a very good panel of experts, allopathy, in their payroll. So they discuss it together, then they modify the dose, and probably over a period of time, like in my case, they asked me after a month, I said, आप थोड़ा ये बंद करके देख लो, this floticus or nasal spray. If you are having problem, continue using it. But I stopped it, there was no problem. So I discontinued it. So they don't use it. So, and generally it says that Ayurveda medicines are not harmful. Of course, there are lots of literature about heavy metals in Ayurveda. I'll come to that. Now, unfortunately, these heavy metals, they need lots of knowledge, lots of time for preparation, detoxification, which is not done by many of the Ayurveda hospitals. There is something called Rasasinduram. I don't know whether you know about it. It is mercury treated probably 1001 times, repeated treatment. Like in biology, bacteria, you do passage and we reduce the pathogenicity. In the same way, that's why most of these things are not available now, because the process of preparing it is beyond probably the present lot. But people are using it without knowledge. Half-baked medicines are being... Otherwise, see, you go to... I can talk about Vaidyanathan. They don't advise it. They said that we cannot prepare it properly as taught by our ancestors, so we are not using it. But there are people, half-baked Ayurveda using that even now. And they will end up with renal failure or anemia or bone marrow depression. That is the biggest bugbear of Ayurveda today, the heavy metals, which are used to probably in allopathy as a poison like arsenic and other things. That's why I am scared of advocates.
Thank you, sir. With that, I think we are coming to the conclusion of today's event. With that, we come to the end of today's program. And I would request
Gomaredi Venkatesh Reddy, pharmaceutical industry, Retd. Chinsugam Chalu Marovita, Assistant Professor, the English and Foreign Language University.
Device disconnected.
Chidri Chandrasekhar garu, ADM in LIC. Dr. P.L. Shastri, Charaka, retired government officer, New Delhi, CAP, Secretariat, SEC-TT. Siddharth Ayyagari, Public Policy Professional, Self. P. Narayan Reddy garu, Dean of Agriculture, Anurag University. B. Venkatatnam garu, retired AGM from SBI. Naga Abhishek garu, Research Associate, Indian School of Business. Dr. Satyanarayana Nanduri, Consultant R&D, Chief Scientist, CSIR, IICT, Hyderabad, Freelance Consultant. Colonel Mettu Pradeep Reddy garu, Professor of Paediatrics, Surabhi Institute of Medical Sciences, Mittapalli Village, Siddipet District. Dr. Y.V. Subbarao garu, Samskruthi Foundation. M. Shankar garu, Senior Scientist, retired, NRSC, ISRO. Dumpala Anjaneya garu, Career Counselor, Family Career Counselor, Self-employed. Rajasekhar Singh, Software Manager. R. Lakshmi Narayan Rao garu, Advocate. Rear Admiral R. Srinivas, retired. Chief Executive Officer, Sridhar Ramaraj garu, retired ERP Consultant, Oracle Solution Services India Private Limited. Nagendra Prasad Singh, Sandachalak, Meera garu, Nagashiva Parasuramani,